Okay, so as many of you have seen who have looked at the assignment, we're kind of going on a more imaginative route, digging into psychology a bit. And the idea is that we kind of separate our brain and body, and our brain is just watching, looking at our body. So there's three parts. There is first glance, there is following for a day, and then there is this notion of befriending. So again, we're kind of, the way this is set up is just trying to get you to recognize any biases in the way you feel about yourself and your perspective on yourself that you typically reserve for others. So could you use this skill of assessment, judgment, open, closed, that we reserve for interpersonal relationships on yourself? Okay, so today's breakdown is, hey, your brain's looking at your body, first glance. So let's take a look at what y'all said. Appreciate you folks finishing them currently. All right, so the first question is, hey, what are you doing? What's that body doing? And before we kind of go through it, this idea is that this vision in your mind of what your body is doing is how you see yourself, right? Are you someone that sits, lays around? Are you someone that is, active and working? That's your perspective, right? Because if you followed you for 24 hours, you wouldn't necessarily get just that. But this is your perspective of yourself. So 35.7% of you would be laying, and 21.4% would be sitting. So that's over half would kind of relate to, I sit around a lot. May or may not relate to, I'm lazy, but that's how you see yourself. Now we've got, almost a fourth as active people. That's their identity. I am playing sports, exercising, walking about. So I am not idle, right? And we kind of have to think about what would happen. What would a active person, how would they judge someone they saw laying or sitting? And vice versa, how would a laying and sitting person judge someone that they saw being active? Is there guilt? Is there shame? Is there, that's them, not me? So these are all the kind of like mental stuff that we're trying to unravel in this series here. Quite a few of you are taking care of something, right? That's your snapshot, which means you got a lot on your plate and you're responsible for a lot, whether it be house, whether it be brothers and sisters, school, taking care of things, etc. Some are playing video games, right? Pondering life, looking in the mirror. Okay, all of the above. And a few people, as I guess assumed, kind of didn't get the concept, but hopefully us going through this will help lead you through. Then I asked the question, are you fit or in shape? Right. Almost half say no. 30% or about a third say yes. And then I specifically put this, can't tell by the clothes you're wearing, so 24.3%. And I considered this because as I try to get into like the teenage mind, because again, we're 20 plus years apart in age, so several generations. And I really tried to put my finger on where you guys are at as a generation mentally. And so I watched over the weekend the Billie Eilish documentary, and I wasn't really into her music or stuff, but I know that she's, very vulnerable and emotional. And she has this like different look that's trying to like spin off in a different position. So she has like, I don't want to say it's unfeminine because that sounds weird, but she has her own unique look. She's got like neon green hair in parts where roots would be, these like crazy long nails. She wears giant clothing. So as I watched that, I kind of like, why would people go out on a limb to present themselves in that way? And is it authentic? Like, is it an authentic thing? Or is it fashion? Like, I'm not sure, but I put that in there and I'm glad I did, because a quarter of you fit that mold. So whether you wear baggy clothes because you feel you're chubby, or it's just the style thing that or you're trying to hide, or you're just trying to be fashionable, or it's just the way you are, it is something to note there. Okay. Now, you do recognize when I ask if you are well, look at those colors there. You do recognize that there's a difference between being fit and in shape and well. There's a difference between fitness and wellness. Wellness basically is your body's land. It is about survival, evolution, right? So it would be in a pandemic where everything's in upheaval, your body on its own probably wouldn't be the thing running about just for the sake of running. It would be the thing laying and sitting and watching, listening. Are the birds around? Why aren't the birds around? What's about to happen? That's wellness. Fitness is a mental game. Fitness is I need to be, I should be, I need to lose weight, I need to be leaner. So you recognize that there is a difference there, right? Because not even 30% said that you're fit, but almost 80% said you're well. And on the flip side, right, we've got over 20% that are like, nope, not well, not okay. So in this realm and in this honesty, again, if I take it and I give it like a traditional PE setting, if we're in the gym playing badminton and 20% of the kids, 15 of the kids were like on the ground or obviously showing some discomfort, I would not ignore them and watch the badminton games, right? I'd let the badminton games do their thing and I would go to them and I would try to address and see what's going on. So that's kind of where this little, 3-day befriending yourself, or if your body was a person, is going, is trying to address, are you able to interact with yourself as if there was another person, right? Can you act as your own best friend? Can you do the things for you that you do for other people? And if not, why not? What's that body paying attention to, right? Now, some of you took this literally, as in like literally as you're doing this form. Check this chat real quick, if I can. Oh, thank you. Go back to that. Okay. So you'll see, right? A lot of folks were like, I'm doing this form right now. But some kind of play along. Leg, stomach for this person, my stomach, how skinny it is. I'm curious. My follow-up is, are they happy with it? Like, I did great, my stomach's skinny, or are they unhappy with it? They think it's too fat. Right? Music in the background, not sure. A lot of people looking at belly fat. Upper body, computer, right? Germaphobe. And it's very interesting as we go through how you perceive that body, because switching to the next question, do you care about the way you look? 60% say yes. 4% straight no. And I added this kind of maybe, and look at the number there. Like, on a yes or no question, what does maybe mean? Does that mean like depends on who's around, who can see you? And I think about this in the context of your generation who like grew up with like Instagram and selfies and all that, and like, how to do the angles and all that stuff that my generation's just like, this seems like a lot of work. But like 33% said maybe. Right? So if in general, I took that and I said at least some of them are a yes if they're on the fence, we're looking at 3 out of 4 do care about the way they look. Then I ask the bigger question. Are you attractive or unattractive? Again, looking at this body. Biggest majority now flips it. I'm regular. And again, I don't know if that's an objective assessment, or I shouldn't say that I'm attractive, or, well, I'm not ugly, right? So how do we make these judgments? Because we've got 12 people that are like, I'm attractive. And I'm just like, bravo for you, right? And then my follow-up is, well, are you trying to be attractive? Like, do you work out to be attractive? Do you like care about what clothes you wear? Do you like do makeup and hair and all that stuff? And then we've got 20% that are, I'm unattractive. And how does that belief shape your behaviors, right? If I'm unattractive, does that divorce me from my body because I got the wrong genes, so why bother? Right? And then these kind of regular folks, right? Is that just kind of an okay space to be in? So you see yourselves as regular or the norm. And how does that shape what you do and what you don't do? Then, what's your first impression of you? Again, you're looking at your body. Notice physical versus personality that comes out. And we're going to watch all this. We're going to scroll through the whole thing. Interesting. Exclamation points. Just ugh. Happy or athletic is combined. Right? Things like it's kind of the hang-ups, or our best foot forward pops up. Like, you look like a guy. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if this is a girl that looks like a guy, or how they identify, or a guy that looks like a guy. Tired, shy, goofy, relaxed. Weird average white girl. Right? So it could have been average white girl, but they're like, nope, also weird. I'm like, do you listen to Billie Eilish? But, right? Wonder how this kid feels. What's their distinguishing feature? Not a lot of black kids in Woodburn. Makes sense. I recognize who I am by comparing to everybody else. Right? This kind of tells me this is what they put forth, but this is their actual. Right? Like, one's the mask and one's the real. And that's teenage life. How to be. I like this. Just wow. In any context. Powerless. Short but pretty big for my height. Complete comparison. And again, if you see, what does anxious look like? What does quiet look like? What does normal look like? What does interesting look like? You know, like if back in the day when we would like be inside a place, you're standing in line for coffee, right? And that person next to you, in front of you, behind you, what do you peg them as? If you think they're unattractive, how do you react to them? If you think they're attractive, how do you react to them? Does it make you want to try to talk to them more or less? What makes someone interesting? You checking out their clothes, their shoes, what kind of phone they have? Are they on their phone? Right? Hardworking snapshot. Curious, could mean many things. The who is that? Wonderful, okay. A lot of people don't know. Right? Your impression of you. That's how you think you present to the world. Then I started asking about care. To take care of yourself. Less than 50%. could say yes confidently. 45% aren't sure. 45%. That matters to me. Right? Do you have a pet? How do you know that you're taking care of that pet or a plant or a friend? What are the behaviors that you do to make sure that they're okay? And do you use those skills on yourself? And then again, we've got the straight up 4 being like, nope, I don't. And what's behind that? Then I ask about people. There are people around. You're by yourself, a 4th. There are people around, but they are not near me. So we have isolated and alone. We've got isolated in a crowd, bubbling off. And about half in vision are into people, into social. They recognize the need and the want there. What's one thing looking at you that you might care about? Looking at you. Now it's physical feature that is their best foot forward or most attractive, right? Because what you care about should kind of show. Some I don't knows. Here's a person. Books. It's that kind of take with. Clothing. Get the body out of it. And pause right there. My future as difficult as it seems and as hopeless as I feel. If that's where you're at, not much spark to do. Why do anything? Why get out of bed? Why leave your room? Why text, answer the text, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 2 left. Do you give off the vibe of approachable and we'll talk with you? Are you open or are you closed? Are you approach and interact or leave me be? And we're almost at a dead 2/3 to 1/3 split. Yeah, let's talk. You might have to talk first, but let's talk. And then let me be. I enjoy my bubble that's controllable. Doesn't involve anybody else. I'm still trying to figure out me. Last bit. So you got 1 window to speak to them. Do you take it? And if yes, what do you say and ask? Ton of this. How have they been? A window is just a moment of time. Hello, my name is. How are you? What are you up to? What you want to play is like my favorite. Are you into books? It's probably that person who thought books represented them. I don't know how to start a conversation. If you don't know how to start a conversation with a person, how can you start it within yourself? Are you okay? How's your day? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, this is kind of phase 1. I'm going to stop share for a moment, but I would like to keep recording for a little bit longer. And I just would like this kind of question, you could feel free to type it in the chat. This kind of psychology, imagination stuff, is it interesting to you? Are you looking forward to diving in a little bit deeper? Is it super weird? Do you hate it? Do you just want to do push-ups? If I can get 2 people to give me some feedback, as in, okay, I'm into this, kind of interesting, or this is ridiculous. Let's stop immediately. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Got some, nobody thinks it's the worst thing in the world. Okay. Awesome. So this is excellent. The next step that we'll be doing then is, so you just, you had a meeting, and the next step, which I'll post, is you watch yourself for a day, and what do you take in there? Okay, stop recording.